Hi there, I wanted to do a short video on a new book that I'm reading. So I started reading Dreaming Through the Shadows, and basically it's a book about shadow work, but it has a twist of lucid dreaming within it. So a lot of the book is based on the Carl Jung's theories of all of us having some shadow parts within, but it's an interesting book so far because it guides you with very specific exercise on how basically to integrate these parts of yourself. And the book starts off, and by the way, I will put the title of the book as well as the author. I will put that into the description. But the book starts off talking about a new concept that I hadn't personally learned about before, and the author calls it the dark shadows versus or golden shadows basically. And the dark shadows are the parts of yourself that we repressed, that we basically we don't accept, and that we denied. It makes us whole because it's still part of our personality, it's still part of us, but we've either grown up, being told not to show these parts, being told that these parts are bad. Our society has basically made it so that we didn't think it was okay to show these parts of ourselves, right? So give me just 2 seconds over here. Okay. So now the golden shadows are actually potential, unlocked potential, untapped potential that we have. If only we were able to integrate those dark shadows. So the concept of the shadow is that it's hidden from us, right? So it lives in our subconscious. So it's not easily accessible unless you bring awareness to it. Now the golden shadow is the same. It's untapped energy that we have within, but it lives in our subconscious, right? So that's as well something that you have to bring self-awareness to it. The author goes on to say that lucid dreaming is a way to bring awareness to that and work with those parts of yourself. But when I get to these chapters, I'll be better able to share the whole concept of lucid dreaming and shadow work. But basically, to give an example, I'm gonna pick fear. So for me, one of my dark shadows is fear. So for example, I now know that one of my golden shadows, so I have potential to be a very great teacher. But in the past, I was always fearful that I did not know enough, or that I wasn't enough of an expert, or I didn't have the confidence, right, to be able to teach. I was shy. That's why I keep saying these videos are really just for me to to basically take risks and you know start tapping into my potential. But basically the point is that sorry about that, I'm just losing my light here and I find it's pretty dark if I don't have it. There you go, a nice blue light. So yeah, so as I was saying, my dark shadow was fear. Golden shadow was the potential to teach, right? But that dark shadow of my within myself, which I wasn't aware of before, right? I didn't know why I had such a blockage, why I always felt like I could do more, push myself more, but I wasn't doing it. So I would keep, learning and learning about things, but it had nowhere to go, right? I had nobody to share this information with. So when I finally recognized that I had a fear of judgment, basically. Like that's part of my shadow. I'm scared of being judged. Like it could be, someone pointing the finger at me and telling me that I don't really know what I'm talking about, or that I don't know enough, or whatever the case is. um I had that fear that basically I wasn't good enough. It comes down because when you start analyzing, yourself, those parts of yourself, you kind of have to do like a root cause analysis where you have to keep digging down to what is the actual root of the problem. So you see how I started with my fear being that I don't know enough of a subject before teaching it. Then I went down to I'm fearful of what others will think of me. But really the root of it all is that I don't think I'm good enough. Or I used to think I wasn't good enough. Now it's definitely shifting with the inner work I've been doing. But I'm telling you this example because I'm putting it out there, but in fact, that's the reality for a lot of people, and everybody has shadow parts, right? This is just one example. I have more examples of shadow work that I did. I keep on doing it. I know I'm gonna have even more examples as I go through this book. But basically, the point that I'm trying to make is that when you start looking at these shadow aspects of yourself that are there to protect you, so they're not bad. That's why I don't like to say they're negative. They're not bad. Actually, they're there to help you. It's to recognize that, as much as those parts wants to protect you, they're not helping, right? They cause blockages. And the work here is to accept that these are part of us, for one, and the second part is to integrate them. So to recognize, for example, that fear was protecting me to not get out there and get shamed, for example, right? Because a lot of us, we grew up with shame as kids. We're always told as kids, don't do this, don't do that, right? Like, we don't do this in public, so a lot of us, we have that internal shame where there's a little part of us that doesn't think they're good people. And then we grew up with that. So fear is actually shame. It's kind of all like muddied together. But it's to accept and then to integrate that. And the way to integrate that is basically to accept it, to recognize it, and to give that part of yourself the love that it needs and it deserves, right? Because these shadow parts do make yourself a whole person. So self-love is about loving all of yourself, right? And recognizing that even though you have, like everybody, I have these parts, I'm still a good person. I still deserve to share my knowledge. I deserve to teach if that's what I want to do, if this is how I want to contribute. And in fact, that's my potential, right? And a lot of people will benefit from this. So I hope this helps you understand, because I'm reaching 10 minutes. I want to end this video, but I hope this makes you understand the difference between the dark shadows and the golden shadows. So again, golden shadows are like extreme potential that you have within you. It's that fire, that passion within you, that's kind of like buried, because the darker shadows are on top of it. So when you can work with your dark shadows, ultimately you can tap into your golden shadows, which will unleash so much potential, creativity, authenticity, joy of living. Because you found, like, you went back to these places that you had, left behind a long time ago when you had to grow up and fit into society and go by the book and act by the rules, right? So definitely, I think it's a good time, where we are at in this period of time to do some shadow work and to recognize that shadow work is an important self-healing technique that you can literally do by yourself. um yes, it can be hard because you can go meet some really dark places within that you had repressed and not accepted. You can really, but at the same time, it's beautiful because you can really discover some beautiful parts of yourself as well. And I think the most beautiful thing in all of that is that as you learn to love those parts, you're actually learning to love your whole self. So this is only the introduction to the new book that I'm reading. um, I have many plans on the go, so I don't read as much as I would like to, but I just wanted to say that I will try and do my best to share what I learned in this book because it touches on one of my favorite subjects, shadow work, which I think goes hand in hand with inner child work and integration. So further look into these concepts. If you want to know more, there's great websites out there as well. I just discovered a website called Loner Wolf. I believe it's .com, but again, I can double check and put that into the description. And it actually, when you sign up for their newsletter, they send you a free ebook of shadow work, which is a beautiful book, and it's free. It has shadow work prompts, so you can start there if you don't know where to start. And it's really like self-reflective questions where you have to dig deep down. So for anybody that's interested in that, you can definitely check that out. And yeah, it's so I will share all of this information in the description as well. So happy shadow work.